Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. I'm Rashonda Tate.
And I'm Victoria Christopher Murray.
And we are back this week talking about what else, y'all's president,
Oh
Donald
my goodness.
Trump and your city. So we're going to talk a little bit about Trump's crime crackdown and what I think are some of America's safest cities. Now, you're in D.C., Victoria. How dangerous do you feel every day?
So you know what's so interesting, Rashonda, and you have been with me since I moved here. So I've lived in three separate places, like within 2 blocks of each other. I don't leave this 4 block radius for, can you believe it, Rashonda? It's 20 years that I've
Wow.
been here.
Yeah.
20 years. I would have never purchased a
Yep.
condo if I felt unsafe. I have never, from the time I moved into this neighborhood, you and I have gone out, and when you've come to visit, walking, my mother stayed with me for a long time. When in the first place I was living here, and anybody came to visit me, we've gone out at midnight, 10 o'clock at night, early in the morning. I have never felt unsafe. Now, I do live in the Capitol Hill area, and a lot of the congressmen and people who work on Capitol Hill live in this area many times in my building. And recently I had heard that one had been carjacked. But it's like living in New York City and you hear somebody's been carjacked. Never once have I felt unsafe in Washington, D.C.
This is all about a show of power by Trump rather than a serious effort to fight crime. In fact, when I was looking into this, residents of Ward 8, I think it is, that's in
That's right.
the
And
southeast
I'm
side.
actually in Ward 8, but they're talking about over the bridge
Right,
where they have more crime. They really do. They haven't seen not a one.
right.
Not a one. You know where they are? They're in my neighborhood. They're in Georgetown protecting the Apple store. They are in these very people who don't see crime. And it was interesting because the people who are doing this quote unquote crackdown don't even know DC. I heard Steve Miller say, when he saw all the white protesters, he said, those are old hippies. They don't even live here. Because he said DC was black. DC used to be black. It used to be Chocolate City. Now it's a mixture of chocolate, dark chocolate, and white chocolate. Because DC is no longer majority black. I think it's 43% black now. There are some wards, and I actually still live in Ward 8, but it's not the Ward 8 that they're talking about. It's over the bridge in Anacostia. There are some places where it's almost totally black. But there's so much gentrification that's gone on that it is no longer a majority black city. And so it's all for show. And another reason it's for show, Rashonda, is that, and I should have had this prepared, but I know the cities. If you look at the top 10 cities with crime per capita, and you have to do it per capita because you can't take a city that has 100,000 people and compare it to a city that has 20,000 people. So you have to do it by per capita to make it an even playing field. The top nine are in red states, red cities. I think it's Baltimore that may be number 10, but there is something that's number 10. So not only are these places that Trump is choosing, they have several things in common. One, crime is they're not in the top 10. Two, crime is going down. What the mayor of Baltimore is doing, and I had a chance to just hear him speak in Martha's Vineyard, is amazing because he says you give people something to do and they don't go out and commit
Right.
crimes. Um, for three, they are all black mayors that Trump is targeting. They have high black populations. And I don't think this is just a stunt. I think he's trying to get people used to seeing the military in black communities, and he's hoping to use it to stop people from voting.
Mhm.
That if you see military all around you, because there are people who are not going out to restaurants, which I think is crazy. But people are not going out to restaurants here and everything. I think this is a way to really physically suppress the vote. I don't ever think that the Trump and the Republicans are going to call off elections, although Trump will be crazy enough to do that. But I think what they're going to do is suppress us so much that we won't win again.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you said some of the cities. I did take a look at some of the cities with the highest crime rates, and New Mexico, Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Tennessee top the five. Now, here's the thing that was interesting to me is that you saw Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee. They were all Tennessee and Louisiana at least sent troops to D.C. So
Yeah.
crime rates are higher, but they're sending troops because they're trying to get on Trump's good side.
Yeah, which is just crazy. So they could do it to DC. He's threatening to do it to Chicago and in Baltimore. Only the governors have the right to call up the National Guard. DC is not a state, which we've all been trying to get, but it won't happen. And only the governors have a right. He was able to do it in California because it was a specific thing. He said the National Guard is here to protect ICE. He's not going to be able to say that in Chicago. He's not going to be able to say that in Baltimore. So we'll see how this works out. But the governors and the mayors are not playing with him.
And that's what I love to see because I did see someone talk about I think it was former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. He said that Trump is the only commander in chief over his 2 terms who's only deployed and put boots on the ground in American cities, not overseas. And I think that's what's so interesting that he's building this whole I'm trying to protect our communities and people are buying into it. I just want well, I hope that it's just his people buying into it. I hope the rest of us remain woke, as he likes to say.
Yeah. And
Um,
I'm not even sure all of his people are buying into it because, yes, there's a great contingency of his, but they're the most vocal people. Yeah, some of his people are being negatively impacted by this as well. So we'll see. I mean, not in DC. We are smart enough. 98% of us voted for Kamala. So don't blame nothing on us. That's why he's here. And
and
it's
so
still
that's
going to
the
be
question a
98.
lot of people will have. Can he go to the other cities that he's threatening to? And the answer is no.
No, no, he was able to do it with California, as I said, in Los Angeles, because he said he gave them a specific purpose. He said they are there to protect ICE, who were doing all of those raids, and to protect the federal buildings. He's saying a lot of the protection of the federal buildings here in DC as well. It's going to be interesting with Baltimore, no federal buildings. He's not sending ICE in there the way he is every place else, and Chicago. And he's going to be up against 2 governors who are going to say, you have met your match, buddy.
Wow. I was just taking a look. The news is looking at Jackson, Mississippi, which has the highest homicide rate. And I think it's crucial when people start looking at these numbers that they do, as you said, the per capita, because Trump
Yeah.
tried to spin it by leaving that part out.
Yes, because you can't compare a city that has, and I'm just using these low numbers, 100,000 people to a city that has 20,000 people. You're going to have more homicides in the 100,000 than the 20,000. So when you even the playing field statistically, you will see, I think it's Monroe, Louisiana, that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, represents, that has the highest actual crime rate, and I don't know what specifically, but it's not Washington D.C. and it's not Baltimore, Maryland. It's not Chicago, Illinois, because these black mayors, crime is very important to them, and they grew up there, and they know what they can do. Action, not threatening people, but real action.
All right. Well, we could talk on and on about this, but we'll be back on Politics and Prose Pop Culture with politics for Trump, because I'm sure he will do something else that we can talk about next week. in this
Yeah, in
whole
the
show,
next 3 hours.
right. But now let's switch gears and talk about prose. And one thing that is near and dear to my heart and your heart, I know, is the African American Literary Awards. And they need our help, right?
They need our help. So the African American Literary Award Show was started by Yvette Hayward 21 years ago. And what was interesting is I remember we were in New York and it was Yvette, Lolita Files, Eric Jerome Dickey, and I walking down the street. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know where we were coming from. And Yvette was trying to talk to us about this image she had of recognizing Black authors everywhere. And we were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And she brought this vision to the forefront. And every year for 21 years, and Rashonda, I hadn't planned to do this, but all of these awards back here, most of these awards are African American literary awards I've won for all authors, from debut authors to historical authors to Christian fiction, everything. She recognizes it. And every year, Yvette has put in her own money,
Right.
about $25,000 a year to put on this show. And it's come to the point that she's used everything she has. And she does. She needs our help. She needs book clubs and readers and authors, even if you're not going to the show, to just chip in 10, 15, $20 to help her put on this show for the 21st year this October.
Yeah, so she's honored some of the most celebrated literary greats over the past 20 years. I'm honored to have won awards. Brown Girls has won awards, but it's more than just an award show for me. I mean, this is like an acknowledgement of Black writers and educators and storytellers who shaped the world. And so I think she has a GoFundMe set up. And I think that if you've ever, attended an award, won an award, or if you just want to support a literary cause, we don't often push GoFundMe's, but I really think this is a cause that is worth us getting behind.
It's a worthy cause. It is definitely a worthy cause. And she's been carrying this on her shoulders for all these years by herself. So we're going to put up the GoFundMe link and everything about this. And I'm going to make my own contribution as well.
Wonderful. So don't forget the GoFundMe information will be in the comment section. So make sure you go in and support. Now, we're going to go to pop culture, and I'm going to bring up something that I don't even know if you know about, but it's something I've been watching, and it's called Bama Rush on
Bam,
TikTok. Bama
Bama.
Rush for Alabama.
Oh, okay, because I needed to. Okay, so
Yes,
and
and
it's
so
on
they
and it's on TikTok. Okay, so
it's
tell
on
me.
TikTok, and it is basically these women rushing white sororities at all of these schools, the Big 12 schools, Alabama, and just all of them. And now, their whole rush process is a little different from the D9, but now they're putting it on TikTok. And it is fascinating to watch the whole process of them going out. There's hundreds of them, and they get their letters and they open them.
So I did see something with people were opening letters and some were cheering and some looked like they wanted to cry. But I didn't
Because
know
you
what it
get
was.
so it's like, imagine you give a whole list. Well, it's hard for us to imagine because that's not how we roll, but you gave a whole list of everything that you wanted to be, all the sororities you wanted to be in, and you open it with everyone else there, and you say, oh, I got into
Yeah,
Delta. It makes you
yeah,
cry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, that wouldn't have made me cry. But uh yeah, so I got into uh Omega Sigma Rho.
right.
And I wanted Delta Sigma Theta. And so
Yes.
everybody opens their letters at the same
At
time.
the same time. And here's what's crazy. I saw one lady, she opened it and she said, man, I got Delta Zeta. I think it was like Delta Zeta Gamma. And she was mad. So if I'm a member of Delta Zeta Gamma, I'm like, hey, don't worry about it, sis.
Don't worry. So that's interesting. So you could go to several of them.
Yes, you put in your bid. You put
Girl.
in your bid, but they're screaming. But what I find hilarious, so they get their letters, they open them, and they start screaming, and they're like, I got into Tri Delta. And then they just start doing the signs. It's hilarious. So you got to go online, watch it. It's not frivolous. You don't like to waste your brain cells on frivolous, but it's fascinating, especially, because we're so different in our process.
Yeah, we are. And we're different in our process. And I wonder if it's because ours is a lifelong commitment
Yeah.
because we go on. In fact, the real work begins at the grad
At
chapter.
the graduate level, definitely, definitely. I hate to see the people weighing in on D9 that don't know anything about D9 because I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you. We've been working hard for our
Girl,
sororities.
girl. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely.
Because I wouldn't. I wouldn't have it any other way because we all do such good work. We
Absolutely.
all do such good work. So very excited about what we do for Delta and what you do for AKA and what our sororities have done for us.
Right. Absolutely. It's a two-way thing. All right. We are out of time.
Ah,
We thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you back here next week on Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. Bye.
bye.